What's going on, everyone? Erik ten Hag's future hangs in the balance as Gary Neville sends out a warning shot on Monday Night Football, and that is going to be the main topic for today that we're going to discuss. Other bits, Kobbie Mainoo's done an interview, there's talks of Zidane, there's talks of Marcus Rashford falling out with the manager, there's loads of shit going on at this club, which we are used to by this point, Shreyas, I suppose. We're going to kick things off with the Erik ten Hag kind of saga story, more and more kind of momentum building. Maybe Ineos are leaning towards, looking away. Gary Neville kind of hinted a little bit of Monday Night Football. I don't know if you was watching it, but he kind of said, like, I think they've already made a decision and hinting towards certain little things. What that means, I don't know, but it sounds like a little bit of a warning. Maybe something along the lines of, if he doesn't get Champions League football, maybe Ineos will decide. Or maybe they've already decided. I suppose what I wanted to debate with you was, there was a lot of analysis on Ten Hag's football this season. Jamie Carragher did a big piece on it on spacing issues and all these kind of things. Where's your head at with it? Where's your head at with the manager and his long-term future now at this club?
I think when it comes to the issues that they were looking at, it is something that we've seen since the start of the season. It's nothing new. Like, as fans and as members on this channel as well, this is something that we've been talking about throughout the course of the season, since the start of the season. Even before we got hit with such a bad injury crisis as well, that even with the right personnel on the pitch, maybe you still get the results, but it doesn't mean that the opposition doesn't get a good chance to actually make it back into the game. And we've seen it happen on numerous occasions, that it happens, and it happens on a constant level. So the thing is, I know the issues, and anyone who sees United even on a constant basis, like even if they see 2 or 3 games regularly, they can immediately make out what the issues in this team are and what the issues in the playing style actually is. When it comes to the manager, the only question I personally have is this the way he genuinely wants to play? Like, maybe attacking wise and maybe build up play wise, he wants to go with something different. But when it comes to the defensive side of things, if this is the sort of system that he wants to stick with, the opposition's having like 30 shots on target or 20 shots throughout the course of a game, then maybe certain lines need to be drawn with Ten Hag. And
it's not sustainable, is it? The style. That
it's not sustainable. And in the Premier League, you cannot allow any team coming up against you, even if it's a Sheffield or a Luton Town, you cannot allow them to like have 20 plus shots throughout the course of the game, because you're just inviting pressure, you're just inviting trouble if you're giving them as many opportunities as we are doing at the moment. And I think in the Premier League, if you do want to make it into the top 4 or even be termed as title contenders, you need to have a structure when it comes to your defense as well as midfield. And right now, our defense and midfield quite genuinely don't really have any structure altogether. Either it's everyone pushed forward, or either it's just we're basically surviving to get through the last 10 minutes of the game if we are ahead.
Well, he's already shown that he's stubborn, because the Tottenham game and the Wolves game and Sarabia and Cunha dropping deep into the midfield and just overloading areas, like he's shown that he's not going to change. So I don't know how it's going to end up good for him if he continues with the style. And he's already kind of, I wouldn't call him anywhere near tier 1 journalist, but he's already kind of murmurs and people online, like Santi JFM on Twitter, who's a journalist himself. I think he's a Portuguese journalist, if I'm not right. I can't speak. Erik ten Hag has not received official support from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Behind the scenes, Ineos are working on appointing a new manager. That's quite bold to say that. I mean, maybe there is some stuff going on behind closed doors, I'm not sure. But there's also complaints from the players as well. This is coming from the Guardian Sport. A number of Manchester United players complained to the coaching staff that they wanted Sunday off after the loss by Fulham, despite the squad usually going in an after-match day for warm-downs and video analysis. What's your take on that?
I just think right now nothing is going in Ten Hag's direction. Like, completely, nothing is going in Ten Hag's direction. When it comes to off time and training sessions or whatever it is, video analysis of a game, whatever it is, I just think that right now this team is quite broken. Like, when it comes to when it comes to the relationship with the manager, when it comes to on the pitch as well, I don't see a team playing right now. Like, any game I watch of Manchester United, like last season, whenever even if we weren't playing flashy football, you could see that the 11 players on the pitch, they're sticking together. They're trying to get it out. They're trying to grind out results. Right now, it just feels like there are 11 players on the pitch and they're all disjointed. Everyone is doing their own
on the
thing.
manager though?
I think it is a portion of it falls on the manager as well, because this is the same manager who reintegrated this team after the horrendous season that we had in the first place. So I think these are the sort of issues that nobody actually expected to arise once
Mm,
again in this team, with the kind of
yeah.
players he's brought in, with the kind of discipline that he, inculcated into this team last season as well. So it's just something that I didn't expect to arise under Ten Hag in the second season itself. Numerous players leaving, again another overhaul incoming on top of that, playing in a certain direction that genuinely doesn't fill you with any confidence whatsoever. Even if you're beating teams 3-0 or 4-0, it still doesn't fill you with as much confidence that you're playing good football.
It's the lack of control that kills me when you're watching a
Yeah,
game and you. I said it after the Luton game. Like, I just please can we just stop this carnage and chaos and just control the game in certain elements, please. Like 10, 15 minutes. If you go in at it end to end, it's manageable, whatever.
yeah,
But for a full game playing like basketball like football, that is not sustainable. Especially when you're going to
exactly.
play like Man City or Arsenal or these teams. You get Arsenal been wiping the floor with teams the past 3 games,
Yeah.
scoring 4 or 5 passes when they're playing a low block. So if you're going to play like that against an Arsenal, you're just going to get absolutely put to the sword. So
Yeah, because if you allow teams like Arsenal, Liverpool, or City as much space, as much time, and as many opportunities in front of goal, they do have the clinical finishers. They do
yeah,
have people who
they
can
will
actually
kill you.
hurt you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think in certain fixtures he definitely has been lucky. In
Hmm.
certain, like the game at Anfield, I still think that we were quite lucky to actually end up that game with a
Oh
draw.
yeah.
So I just think that right now, look, the opinion for Ten Hag before this game, that we had against Fulham, a lot of people had their heads tilted towards him. Once again, 3 straight wins. Again, people were saying that we need to stick with him, we need to trust the process and everything. But once again, one bad result and it can go all away in a within the split of a
He
second.
mentioned that in his press conference
Yeah,
today. He said, he's getting asked about his job and stuff now. He said,
yeah,
we've just won 5 or 6 in a row. But that is the nature of the beast. The United is it's
yeah,
one of them. Like, you lose one game and it's all hell breaks loose and everything. But it's not, for us as fans, Shreyas, I think the point we're trying to make is the fact that if you look at the games this year that we've been unbeaten, Luton, we won by 1 goal and it was
yeah,
end to end. Fulham, we lost by 1 goal. Aston Villa, we beat by 1 goal. Wolves, we beat by 1 goal. West Ham was the only one where it was like 3-0,
yeah,
clear, done. So they haven't been convincing either.
yeah. Even against Newport.
Yeah, 4-2, but still,
Yeah.
it was fucking
And in
cagey
that
at
game
times,
as
wasn't
well,
it?
they clawed it back to 2-2, and it genuinely looked like this game can actually go away from us
Risky.
the way it was
Yeah.
going.
Absolutely. I'm going to touch on Jamie Carragher's comments and what Ten Hag's kind of replied to them in the press conference in a moment. I'm just going to read out some comments. Brian Case is in the chat. Evening, lads. And is anyone else with comments as well? Please do get them in and I'll read out your opinions. Evening, lads. Good to see Shreyas on, and of course, always good to see you, Nick. Thank you very much. If you have a few minutes, read the article that Jamie Jackson wrote for The Guardian. These players are throwing Ten Hag under the bus. This toxic group needs to be shipped out. Well, I mentioned something out of it before The Guardian Sport about the players, what in Sunday off after the loss, and I don't care, mate. What do you want it off for? Because you weren't running.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Marcus saying, "Can I have a day off for what? You didn't run. What do you need a day off for?"
you did
Like.
get days off before.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not even we're in FA Cup, that's it. We're not in the Champions
Yeah,
League anymore. We're not in the Carabao, so what are you complaining for? Anyway, so yeah, Ten Hag's kind of bit back at Jamie Carragher today in the press conference, which I thought was interesting. And he got asked about what you thought. He said, "What do you think of Jamie Carragher's comments on Monday Night Football? I'm not sure if you saw him about spacing issues and the line being too low and all this kind of stuff, da da da." And he said, "First of all, some analysts are very objective in their comments and very good advice, while some are very subjective. Jamie Carragher, from the first moment on, has criticised and now he wants to make his point." So I get what he's saying there to a certain
yeah,
extent. He has got a point there, Ten Hag. But again, I don't know if you saw the analysis on Monday Night Football. He wasn't wrong, was he, about the way we're playing? Like, the gaps in midfield are absolutely massive. They don't know whether to go or press. We can't play a high line with like Maguire or Evans in there. So there are fundamental issues with this system in there. And do you think he needs to change that going into these next couple of games, or at least try and make some amendments in the team?
I think if he wants to stay in the job, he needs to.
Yeah.
If he genuinely wants to stay in the Manchester United job, he needs to do it. There's no other way about it, because right now I would still say On the ball, whatever we do, there's nothing that can be done about it. I think even the manager, when it comes to what we do on the ball, even he can't really do anything about it, because on the ball you can just he doesn't really have as many resources to rely on. He's got Bruno, he's got Rashford, and he's got Garnacho on the right hand side. That's it. Even Hoyland is not here right now, so on the ball I can't really criticize him for that angle. But off the ball, that's where I think he
Shape.
genuinely needs
Just
to
the
do a
shape.
revamp altogether. He needs to do a revamp altogether, because these players don't know how to do a coordinated press altogether. Like,
No.
if you have to do that sort of pressing, you need to block all channels out of passing. And what happens during game is Bruno just keeps on running wherever the ball is. He just keeps on running. There's
Yep.
no one who actually compliments him while he makes those sort of runs. And because Bruno keeps running, there is a gap that gets left behind in that midfield altogether. You're left with Mainoo and Casemiro, and even they, when Bruno pushes forward, both of them push forward
You've
as
got
well.
Casemiro trying to press as well.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like that
and
ain't in his game at all.
exactly. And I just feel that the biggest problem we have right now is what we do off the ball, because on the ball, even though as bad as we are playing, we still create certain opportunities, and if we
Yeah.
take them, we can still get through games. 2-0, 1-0. You can still get through those sort of games. But off the ball, it's just been so bad, because it just feels like anyone can walk past our midfield. It doesn't matter who the opposition is. Like, we've seen it throughout the course of the season as well, and that defensive line as well. We just don't really have the players to play that sort of high and intensity attacking football. You need to, even if you want to play that sort of football, you need to find the balance with it, considering the kind of players that you've got at your disposal. You've not got Lisandro Martinez, you've not even got Luke Shaw in your team, who I would say, if you want to play that sort of style, you need those two players in your back line. Otherwise you genuinely cannot go through with it. So I think he definitely needs to do a revamp. If he doesn't do it, I think he's gone.
Well, that's what I was going to mention. I was going to mention the injuries, because he does have a valid point with the injuries. Any team we've spoken about, you lose a couple of the players, your key players, to how you want to play your system. It's all right for Pep, because if Rodri goes out, you can drop De Bruyne into there. You can tweak it with world-class talent. With us, Rasmus goes out, we've got no one. Literally not a striker. And don't talk to me about Marcus Rashford, because he ain't a striker. We've got no one. Lissandro goes out. We don't have another type of player who can play like that. Same thing with Luke Shaw. We haven't got a fucking... We're playing Lindelof at left back.
We don't even have a fullback right now.
The reason why people say, why is he losing games? Because he's playing fucking Lindelof at left back and Rashford is a striker. If any other team had to play them there, they would lose. But equally thrown in with that, like you just perfectly said, the style as well, you need to change it. You need to tweak it, because it just is not working. And if you do that against Man City and we get battered, you will have no excuses from my side.
There's no way. Even if you're playing this sort of football, you can only play it when you know that your attackers can actually score off goals.
Yeah.
Right now, none of our attackers are. Almost, because right now, our most clinical and I would say prolific goal scorer right now is Hoyland. And he's not available in the team. Garnacho is hit and miss during games. He's still very young, so you cannot be expecting him to, be dropping in performance week in and week out, and
Same with
ask him to.
Kobbie's 18.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and, exactly, and that leaves you with Marcus Rashford. And I think this season has been so much of a letdown by Marcus Rashford for Erik ten Hag, because he practically, at the start of the season, he made this team for he built it around Rashford at the start of the season, because at the back end of last season, anyone would have thought that moving into next season, Rashford needs to be the main guy in that attacking line. If people are able to supply to him, he's just coming off a 41 goal and assist season. Even if he can not replicate that, but get close to those sort of numbers, you will have a completely different season. And right now, Rashford is nowhere near to that sort of form.
Well, we're going to talk about Marcus Rashford towards the end, so make sure you stay, because apparently there's been some rumours that he's fallen out with Ten Hag, but we'll discuss that and get onto that, so make sure you do stick around. I want to discuss Zinedine Zidane, because he's another manager that's been mentioned quite a lot today. I don't know what it is. There's something in the air or whatever it is. Sorry, just have news. Oh my God, news coming in. Erik Ten Hag confirms. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Harry Maguire isn't available for the game against Nottingham Forest tomorrow. Rafael Varane isn't available for Nottingham Forest tomorrow, and Bruno Fernandes isn't available for Nottingham Forest tomorrow.
So you've got no one left?
That That is insane. That means a backline of Lindelof, Johnny Evans, Campualo, and Dallo, probably. That is bare bones tackle. Bruno Fernandes being a doubt as well. When we ever known Bruno Fernandes to be like injured? Because
You could see it at the end of the game. You could see it at the end of the game.
Yeah, he was holding his left leg.
To be fair, with players like Maguire, I would still be surprised. With this sort of news about Bruno coming out, I'm actually not that surprised because with the kind of energy and the kind of work rate he actually puts on the pitch, it had to happen. And
gonna run yourself into the ground at some point.
Genuinely, it had to happen. Because you cannot expect someone to play like 100 minutes of football every single week, and with him practically covering every single blade of the grass. It will happen, and you can see it in his performances as well. You're not seeing even near to 50% of a Bruno Fernandes on the pitch right now.
The Bruno injury wouldn't bother me as much. And by the way, if you are just joining, no Varane, no Bruno, no Maguire for tomorrow. That's just been announced.
So it practically means that you've got Kamvala, you've got who once again is a youth player. Then you've got the likes of Victor Lindelof, and even he was limping off at the end of that game. I still remember he was limping off at the end of that game. Johnny Evans is there, and practically the only, I would say, first teamer in that backline is Dallo. That's the only one you've got. And then even in the midfield line, if Bruno is out, people can say what they want about Bruno, but there's
actually if we had Mount available, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But we haven't got even a 10.
No one who can actually come in and do the, play in Bruno's position.
Oh my God.
Expect what...
An opportunity, I think.
But even with Ahmad, I don't see him doing what, like covering the entire length of the pitch like Bruno does.
But then at least you'd have a bit more structural kind of presence, do you know what I mean? Instead of like headless chickens fucking running about.
Yeah, sure. But maybe that's what the manager wants from Bruno. And maybe then that's what he would want from Ahmad as well when he's playing in that position. And it's just not our season altogether, I would say, because if Bruno is out for a bit, like even if he's out for like 2 to 3 weeks now, same goes for Varane and same goes for Maguire. And you've got the Manchester derby coming up as well.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Jesus.
Going into a Manchester derby with a backline without Varane and Martinez.
Oh, you're getting murdered.
And with no fullback as well.
That is where, if you don't tweak something in that game and make us compact...
If he goes into that game with kids,
you're dead.
And then he plays that sort of football, they'll kill us 5 or 6-0 in that game easily without breaking a sweat.
I would happily say, well, not happily, but I would...
Yeah.
I would say encourage that it'd be more than that.
And we should genuinely be thanking ourselves. Casemiro is not badly injured and he's back for this game.
Crazy. Anyway, we were going to speak about Zidane before that news just kind of completely derailed us. Zinedine Zidane being linked by quite a few people to the job. Apparently, he knows Jean-Claude Blanc, and Jean-Claude Blanc is a big admirer of the manager from time at PSG and all this kind of stuff. And Ineos are apparently all big fans as well. Does he? For me, I'll give you my take on it first, Shreyas, and I'm going to get yours. I don't think Zidane would suit United for the current place that we're at and for the project that we want to go on. I think he's a manager of superstars and he can do that really, really well because he was a superstar himself. It's different from you winning Champions Leagues with you got Cristiano Ronaldo, Luka Modric, all these guys in your team, and you go into this team now. It's a completely different kind of project in it. So would you kind of agree with that assessment or would you go differently?
Yeah, right now I wouldn't go near him. Like genuinely, I wouldn't go near him because this is not a Real Madrid team where he's got quality in the midfield, quality in the defense, quality in goal, quality in the attack as well. And then he's a good manager when it comes to, reintegrating a team full of, good prospects and current great players as well. He knows how to balance those sort of egos and personalities and then get the best out of those players. For that job, he's absolutely incredible. But at United right now, we need a manager who can just build us from the ground up. If Ten Hag does leave, then we need someone who can build us from the ground up because as I'm looking at things right now and as things are being reported, at least 7 or 8 players will be leaving. At least 7 or 8 players will be leaving. Maybe 10 or 12, maybe we move into double digits. But 7 or 8 are a bare minimum that leave. So you need anyone who comes in, they need to be sure about what kind of players they're going to be bringing in, what sort of profiles they're going to be bringing in. And I just think right now any decision that United make could be the wrong one. Like even
Yeah.
if we let go of Ten Hag, a new manager comes in, they'll take the entire preseason just to reassess this team altogether. Some players will once again get another chance. I I just think even if you do get rid of Ten Hag, some players leaving should be non-negotiable. Like
Hmm.
Maguire should leave, McTominay should leave. These players do need to leave. Don't give them another opportunity because then it once again it keeps on dragging on and on and on and on, and we are just not in the position to do that. And
Yeah.
right now, I think Zidane is just not the right guy right now. Like if this team was a team who I would say is has been finishing in the top four quite consistently for the past 3 to 4 seasons, and we need someone to just take us to the
A
next
little
level.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, then maybe I would say Zidane might be the right guy because we need someone who
But we're way off that.
can demand that sort of respect from the locker room as well because he's been there, he's done
Hmm.
that, but
Hmm.
it's just not that sort of atmosphere at United right now at all.
Yeah, I agree. We need a squad builder, if anything. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on Zidane, people. Would you take him at Manchester United, or do you think it's kind of the wrong timing? I'd love to hear your opinions. We're going to talk about Marcus Rashford now, and it's been a very, very interesting quote from a journalist who we're not a fan of. Let me just put his picture up because I've got his thing here. And you all know who I'm going to put on the screen, okay? So I'll just pop him on now. There he is, the man himself, the absolute bullshitter who said that Sheikh Jassim was coming to Manchester United in October. I think we all remember Mr. Neil
Yeah,
Custard.
yeah,
Now, he put out a tweet earlier on today, and this guy only ever tweets when it's negative shit or if he's trying to stir the
absolutely.
pot effectively, which a lot of people know. He says, Eric Ten Hag and Marcus Rashford are barely on speaking terms, and Manchester United staff fear their relationship is beyond repair. Ten Hag felt Rashford deceived him by claiming the Belfast incident had happened 24 hours earlier than it did, and despite the manager claiming this had been put behind them, their relationship has not repaired. And then quite a few accounts came out after it with significant following reporting that this was basically absolute bullshit and the relationship is fine. So I'm not going to give Neil Custis his face any more time. There he is in the middle of the screen. You can see him. I'm just going to pop him off. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you, if they hadn't had come out and kind of a lot of accounts kind of put this fire out, would you have believed that story? Can you see a disagreement with Rashford and the manager at all?
To be very fair, right now, anything that comes out, it will be hard to ignore it.
Mm.
Like, quite literally, if any news that is coming out right now, it will be hard to ignore it, whether it's fake, whether it's real, because looking at this team right now, I cannot see any player pretty much who I would say, things are going well.
Yeah.
Like, there is genuinely not, even a single player. And I just think with Rashford, so much stuff has actually come out since the start of the season. This happened, that happened, and his performances on the pitch haven't been doing him any favors either. But I just think I don't know what's gone wrong with Rashford
It's almost
altogether.
gone rogue, hasn't it? Like, he's just
Yeah,
kind of just
like
thought,
I
you know what,
genuinely don't know.
fuck
This is
this.
this is the manager who first, he actually revived his career at United once again. He's had his most prolific season under this manager as well. He has never had that sort of success under any other manager, and I think if Ten Hag didn't come in, maybe we wouldn't be even seeing Rashford in this team in the first place by now. Maybe Rashford would have been sold last season itself if Ten Hag wasn't the manager who would be coming in because he had a horrendous season before last year's season, and there were a lot of expectations from him. He was supposed to be the spearhead of this attack with Højlund coming in, Garnacho in the wings as well. People expected a lot from Rashford. Like they genuinely expected a lot. They
I
thought
don't
that
think they should, though, Shreyas, because his form before in the past years has shown that he does dip in, like, he's never been consistent across his
he has
career
never been, but I think going into his people expected it because he's going
because
into
of
his
last
prime
season.
years because of
Yeah.
last season as well, and
Yeah.
it definitely does happen because once again those will Rashford be the next player who probably breaks into the Ballon d'Or list for Manchester United? There were all sort of talks. There were genuinely all sort of talks in that
Mbappe
6 month period.
talks.
Yeah, yeah, and look, he was doing quite incredible, but it just once again it just shows that we really in this team we don't have any match winners. Like
No.
genuinely, we don't have any match winners altogether. The ones we had last season are not performing. The ones who I would still say have the quality to do it, they're either injured or they've been just absolutely run to the ground.
Yeah.
And you can see them that they're not even able to get the basics right. With Rashford, I genuinely, I'm losing all sort of hope because first off, with all the news that came out during, before the match that we had against Newport, that he's out, he didn't attend training, and then all the leaks came out that he's lying, and it just doesn't, paint him in the right light. And if PSG do come through with an offer, like if it's a 50 million offer or even a 60 million offer, I would take it hands down. It's pure profit. He's an academy player, and I think we definitely, need to go. If I would, make a say on it, I wouldn't go for a right winger next season. I would still stick with Garnacho on the right, and I would go for someone who can actually be a playmaker on the left hand side. Because in the past few games, I would actually say, even though Garnacho hasn't been playing as good, but at least things are happening from that right hand side for a change. The left hand side has been absolutely dead with Rashford playing in there.
The funny thing is, we could do with someone like I was say Goku then.
Oh,
Not the one from Dragon Ball. We could do with him as well, to be honest. But Doku, someone like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the moral of the story is for people who are just tuning in: do not listen to this man, and you'll see him on the screen. Do not listen to Neil Custard, because this guy talks more shit than any journalist that there is. So if any story comes out from him,
they pick the
park it to the
perfect
side.
time. Every single time they pick the perfect time. Things are not going well. Team looks disjointed. Rashford's already under a lot of pressure and caught a lot of heat in the past few weeks. Let's attack him again.
Yeah, exactly. Right, the last thing we're going to discuss is Kobbie Mainoo's interview, because he's done quite an in-depth, talk with Manchester United, and he's been talking to the kids at the academy as well. Obviously, coming full circle almost. He was speaking about his debut at Goodison Park, saying it's not the easiest place to go. I had to make an impact on my first start, and I think a lot of people forget that his first 3 games were I think it was Galatasaray away, Everton away. And there was another one in there. I can't remember which one the other one was. But it was 3 very hostile atmospheres.
Liverpool at Anfield.
Anfield as well. So they're literally almost the 3 worst grounds you can go to. And he did all right. He did okay. He was speaking about his goal against Wolves as well, which obviously is unbelievable. He said, and I loved the answer to this. Obviously, the Wolves goal, that was crazy. I've watched it a few hundred times, so it's sunk in now. It was a nice clutch moment. So he's obviously still in his teen years, using words like clutch. He wanted me to, about Ten Hag said he wanted me to be more dominant and just demand the ball all the time. When I came up with the first team, he told me he was going to push me, and he did. How impressive has he been? And would you almost argue that he's been player of the season? Is that too far?
He has been. Yeah, no. He has been player of the season. There is, I think, barring Højlund, there is absolutely no one I would even put near him in that list.
Consistency over the season, because Højlund's only just started. I know he did good in the Champions League.
It's not. Even if I would say since the start of the season, I would still pick Højlund, because first off, it's not on him what was happening at the start of the season, and even now, it's not that people, suddenly things are changing and people are passing to him. No, he's feeding off scraps even now, and he's still. I think for a 20-year-old to come into the Premier League with not as much experience, and he's already, in his best goal-scoring season ever in his career.
Yeah.
For me, he has already ticked off all the boxes. But yes, I think Kobbie Mainoo has been by far the most consistent player that we've had in this team. And I would say even if he sticks at this level itself, like he doesn't develop as much and he just keeps on doing what he's doing right now, he'd still be a star. He'd genuinely still be a star in the future, because with the way he's able to read the game, with the way he's able to fluctuate his role in the midfield as well, there are genuinely going to be a lot of clubs interested in him if he does. We've already heard a lot of rumors that there are clubs who are quite interested in Kobbie Mainoo, and there was a thing with I think interview or something with Casemiro as well, where he came out and said that that Casemiro said that he's
big praise.
Quite a quality player to have around, and at his age he's got a long way to go. But I just think he's got the perfect play. Out of every single player available in Europe, I think he's the understudy to one of the best in Casemiro. And if he's even able to learn off a little of him, we genuinely have a bright future prospect at our hands right now.
I think he's been playing better than Casemiro though this season.
Yeah, he has been
genuinely.
Yeah, and once again, he's young. He's more agile than Casemiro. And right now, any player who in that midfield who's not as agile, who's going to look even worse. Yeah. Quite literally, because And I think in this system as well, he's doing what he can, and he's still showing up in big games. He's become a reliable member of this team, and he's pushed off players like Amrabat to the bench as well. People
Yeah.
who we expected to actually push Casemiro off to the bench,
I know.
he's actually come in and he's pushed him off to the bench itself. So I think he saved us about 100 million in the next transfer window, because if he didn't come through the academy and he didn't have as
Oh, we
the
would
kind
have
of
been
impact that
fucked.
he's had right now, then we would have to go for two CDMs, another midfielder, and another 10. That's 4 players in the midfield itself that we would have to go for. So he's eliminated a lot of cost for United in the upcoming season, and I just hope he stays on this trajectory and just keeps his head down and keeps doing his thing, because I just don't want him, with I would say the bad energies right now in the dressing room. I just don't want it to, get to the, youth players. And the same goes for Garnacho as well. Both of, both of them, they've got immense potential, and I do see them being headliners in the future. I just hope nothing, derails them off that
The
path.
products doesn't drag them
Yeah,
down to
yeah.
like, because I remember Bruno Fernandes joining in different situation, not an academy player or anything like that, but when he joined, he was on fire. He was killing it.
Oh yeah.
Now look at him now; he looks like a broken man who just isn't performing.
And that's the most annoying part, because even now, if you look at Bruno Fernandes, we all know what he's capable of. He's done it with worse players and worse profiles in his team. He's with players like McTominay and Fred behind, the kind of impact that he was having in this team and the kind of numbers that he was pulling up with were absolutely astronomical. So you would expect that, now that players like Casemiro are there, players like Kobbie Mainoo are there, he should be definitely, be performing better. I just think in that space of time, he was playing like a genuine 10. He was quite fixated in his positioning, and that's how he got the best out of the players who were playing ahead of him. Right now, I just don't. I never see Bruno actually playing as a 10.
There's one
I
time
see him,
he's done it,
yeah,
and it's against Galatasaray away
and he scored.
when he
Yeah,
scored that banger. That was the only time I've seen him kind of stay central and stay near the attackers. Apart from that, he's everywhere. He literally
yeah,
he has no positional discipline whatsoever.
yeah. He's right back. He's centre back.
Yeah,
He's in
and
the
that's
defensive
obviously coming
line.
from the coach. Like, I understand that the coach will be asking him certain things to say, pop up in here. And tend to do that. They float about,
Yeah.
De Bruyne can do it, Ødegaard can do it. I get it. They don't just stay in one position. But when we need him in the most important points, he isn't there. He's busy at left back, fucking moaning or whinging at a referee. That's
Exactly,
the issue.
because I don't want Bruno to be the player who wins the ball off the press and then he needs to drive the ball forward and make the attack. No, win the ball and then pass it to Bruno.
Yeah.
Because on the counter attack, if you want players to be fed like Garnacho and Højlund, Bruno Fernandes is the best possible profile to have. But right now, I just don't know why Ten Hag is not actually using him to the best of his ability. Because his best ability, yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying the issue is he wants to play this style, and I think genetically these players, they are best suited towards counter-attacking football. I think we'd both agree on that, and I think the majority of people would agree on that in the chat. Like, we haven't got possession-based players who can keep all of it, keep it ticking, etc. So you naturally lean towards that style, but then also you have multiple different players who have come. So for Maguire, for example, Wan-Bissaka, they're Ollie signings who came in. Under Jose Mourinho, you still got. I know Martial hasn't played much minutes, but under Van Gaal, you had Shaw who came. Like, these different players, they're not all Ten Hag's players, he's hardly been able to play any of his players in the side. So it makes it really, really hard to implement a style, and you want to be stubborn with it because you're like, right, I'm going to stick to the principles. If I start swaying away from this now, people are going to start criticising it, saying that he's losing faith and da-da-da and all this kind of stuff. But then at the same time, I remember last season when we were trying to play out from the back against Brentford and Brighton and these teams, and tactically switched it up, started going long, tweaked it, and we got results. So I don't know why he hasn't yet looked at it and think, right, we need to change something here because it isn't working. I don't get it.
I didn't even, at the start of the season, I didn't even think that he would be looking to actually make a change to the system that he played.
No.
Because last season, I think the way he played was actually quite good. It was quite structured, it was quite sustainable, and it's
just the
actually
away
worked.
games, though, Shreyas. That was the issue.
Yeah, but even in the, I would still say there was still, as a whole package last season, I would have still taken, even if this season we wouldn't have, with the kind of form we had is a different thing. But if our form still stayed the same as it did last season when it came to away games, but at the way we played at home stayed the same, I would have still taken it, quite genuinely. And I just don't know why he had, because I think last season the kind of positioning Eriksen had alongside Casemiro, I personally thought Mount would come into that position and just be, he has extra energy. He's more
I agree.
mobile,
I thought it
pressing
would.
wise as well. He's got
Yep.
loads of energy. He's one of the best in the league when it comes to pressing and making those aggressive runs into the box.
Yeah.
Those late runs into the box. And I thought, Mounts come in. I do see this midfield working out quite a lot better. And even last season, there were games where Bruno played as the 8. There were even games where Bruno played as the 6.
Sick against
But
Everton. He played
yeah,
as a 6.
and played quite well. So I just don't know why Ten Hag is not trying to get the best. I think if he needs to stay in the job for next season, he needs to get the best out of Bruno.
Yeah,
That's the only way he can stay, because he's the most creative player we do have. And if you do want to stay in this job, you need to get the best out of that guy, because if you're not, then Højlund is going to struggle, Garnacho is going to struggle, and at best, I would still say the best, chances of our game still fall to our wingers, whether it's Rashford or Garnacho. And right now, I'm still more confident about a chance being converted when Garnacho is on the ball rather than Marcus Rashford. So I think Ten Hag definitely, he needs to revamp a lot of things going into this Forest game as well, because I think the last time we played Forest, we lost as well.
Yep.
So yeah, they're going to be high on momentum right now with the kind of form we're coming in and with the kind of injuries we've got.
And we have got Nottingham Forest tomorrow, so make sure you come and join us for the live pre-match build-up and post-match analysis, because it's going to be a bit of a mad one, especially with the news that received. I don't know if people just tuning in. Maybe no Varane, no Bruno Fernandes, no Harry Maguire for tomorrow's game. So it is going to be a mad selection of players that I've kind of thrown together, and we're going to try grind our way through the FA Cup. So make sure you do come and join us for that. The takeaway from today, I would say, just to kind of summarise the show, don't trust Neil Custard, the journalist, first and foremost, also known as Neil Custis, because he talks absolute shit. Kobbie Mainoo's a gem. Keep hold of him. Fucking nurture him as much as you can. Marcus Rashford ain't the star, never has been. And Ten Hag has tactical issues that need addressing. I think that's fair to say, isn't it, to summarise the show? Right then, I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. We'll be live a little bit earlier for team news and stuff like that. So come and join us. Be live on YouTube and potentially TikTok as well. And apart from that, stay locked in. Check out the other videos on the channel if you haven't done already. There was an After Dark show that we filmed that was extremely hilarious. That Sam's put out and edited. Really, really good. There was a reaction outside Old Trafford that I did after the Fulham game for pros and cons. I also think that's a nice video if I don't kind of toot my own horn. And make sure you drop us a follow on socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and me and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. I'm sat there waiting for Shreyas to turn the show off. I'm like, oh yeah, it's me in it. Never mind. Peace. See you in a bit, guys.